To be a good artist, you need a good drawing app. So I'm going to save you some trouble by reviewing them myself, and then you can decide which one you want to use based on my opinion that you should always be listening to, because I'm always right. The apps we're going to be trying today are ibispaint, my beloved, Autodesk Sketchbook, Medibang Paint, Procreate, my mortal enemy, and we'll also be testing out this one very creatively named drawing app. I'll be ranking them all out of 10 based on the app itself, not the drawing, and then I'm going to tell you my opinion on the best one. Let's get started with Procreate, and I'll explain my beef with this app. For starters, I hate that it's pixelated. When I first started using it, I literally started seeing real life as pixelated because I spent too much time looking at it. Like, that's bad. You might be able to turn this off because I believe that's an ibispaint setting, but I never found out how. I also don't like how hard it is to find the liquify tool. Like, it's hidden. And I don't like how hard it is to change your brushes and their settings. I like that they have custom brushes, but it's not anywhere near as useful as ibispaint's free library of 26,000 free resources. I was actually using Procreate for a bit when I was more of an art infant, and you do get used to the settings and layout over time. It also looks a lot more refined and professional compared to ibispaint, and I think that's why a lot of artists prefer it. Okay, the actual drawing. One thing I've always disliked is how they don't seem to have a good, just like, basic brush. On ibispaint, I found this amazing brush that I'll rant about later, but honestly, even when I was using this app years ago, I never found a brush that I liked a lot. The one I'm using for this insanely ugly drawing is very textured, and while I love to use like a bit of texture once the piece is done, you can't make a drawing with just texture. Okay, this is a little bit nitpicky, but the liquify tool works like completely differently than the ibis one, so that would definitely make it hard to switch between them. Here's my artwork drawn on Procreate, and for the rating, I'm gonna go with a 7.5 out of 10. I like its features and I like the design of the interface, but it's not getting an 8 simply because I don't think it deserves one, and it also takes up way too much storage space. Like, I have Genshin on my iPad, I cannot have this. Alright, next up, Medibang Paint. This system honestly looks quite messy. I prefer things to look a little bit more minimalistic, especially right after using Procreate. Immediately adjusting the pen size is not very easy. You have to go to the brushes menu, select pixels, and then drag the slider down. There's ads all the time, and they're very glitchy. There's a huge ad window that takes up around 1/7 of the canvas space, which is rather annoying, but ibispaint also has this if you're not paying for premium. I couldn't figure out how to close any of the menus until I had already finished the drawing. One super annoying thing to me personally is that you can't click away from the menus to exit out of them. You have to press the back arrow. Honestly, that's just really annoying, so yeah. It's just not very easy or intuitive to use. I will give them credit where credit is due. They have 2 fingers to undo, and painting on this felt very natural, compared to Procreate anyway. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a liquify tool. I couldn't find a way to merge down my multiply and add layers, and the menus are very distracting. Here's my finished piece. I'm gonna give this up a 6 out of 10. It paints well enough, but it's missing features that I really need to see in a good drawing app. If you'd like to try this out, you could definitely learn the program and get used to its features, but the lack of useful tools for both beginner and pro artists is just not great. Autodesk Sketchbook, my old friend. Well, let's get right into it. I used to use this app all the time. It wasn't good then, and it isn't good now. I don't like the layer menu that is always up. It takes up a lot of space when I'm trying to paint. I don't like any of the brushes very much, and they only have a few to choose from. Also, huge problem, I could not find any way to turn down the opacity on my sketch layer until I was most of the way done with this painting. So that was very annoying, but all in all, this program was not that bad. I'd recommend something else to a new artist, but this isn't that bad of an app. I will say the pen pressure is a bit wonky, and I really dislike how hidden the eyedropper tool is. There's no liquify tool I can see, and the brush selection isn't very advanced. I do like that it has color palettes built into the color wheel, but unlike Procreate, which has like sort of multicolor ones, this one has one for each individual color. I really found this helpful, and I really liked this feature a lot. The brush menu is very intuitive. I immediately knew how to adjust the size and opacity of the brush despite not using this app in many, many years. The colors are really nice. They're very saturated and exactly how they're supposed to look. and I like how the brush feels. It lacks a few tools I find necessary, but it's definitely not a bad platform. Here is the final piece. I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I think I would recommend this above medibang, if only for its more intuitive design, but I liked the painting I made on medibang more. Ibispaint, my absolute favorite drawing app I've ever used. I do have a few issues with this app, but first I'm going to talk about everything I love about it. Firstly, the liquify tool is so easy to find. You can adjust the brush size and opacity without having to open a second menu, and it has pretty complex settings for each brush, though not as many as Procreate. It has a ton of brushes, and it has custom ones you can download by pressing the online button, and that's where I found this insane brush. It's called Soft Pastel, and you may be thinking, don't use a soft brush all the time, and ordinarily you would be correct, but not this time. This brush is insane because if you press really lightly or in large strokes, it's super light and applies an amazing texture to the piece. But if you press down hard or do smaller strokes, it's a hard line with an almost noise effect around the edges. I love this brush. I love it. I use it every single day in every single painting, and I use it for sketching, base colors, and rendering. I almost never even switch brushes anymore. It's just that amazing. I actually can't find this brush in the online brush store anymore, unfortunately, but here's the QR code if you want this brush. I believe this is my custom settings though, so you might have to change it a little bit. And okay, I'm sorry for the rant, we're moving on. I did a completely different art style than I normally do. I was taking inspiration from all the jelly art I see on Pinterest, which you'll see as I go, but this isn't my regular art style. I wanted to do something different than my regular art, since obviously I can already do that on ibispaint, since that's what I'm most used to. And oh my god, I redid this sketch so many times. Dude, this was hard as heck to draw, but we got there eventually, and of course I rendered this whole thing with the soft pastel brush, but I actually did this sketch with the Coolene brush that I found online, which I also like a lot. Obviously, I'm drawing the same character as the other drawings, but we already know this one is going to win. I also tried to do a hand, so now is the perfect time to talk about ibispaint's free resources. Okay, maybe not all free. Some of them you have to have the premium membership for, but most of them are free, and the membership is only, I think, $3 a month. So I feel like it's pretty affordable, especially compared to something like Photoshop. Of course, I did delete the hand because I didn't think it was fair to compare it to the other drawings since none of them had hands, and I used ibispaint's gradation map tool at the end to make it look prettier. It's also a premium feature, but you can use hue, saturation, and lightness for a very similar effect, and it's free. Okay, it's time to talk about my issues with ibispaint. First, if you don't have a lot of space on your device, this app sometimes crashes. I've experienced this a lot. It won't erase what you did, but it does sometimes send you back in progress like 10 seconds. It's annoying, but it's not that bad, all things considered. It won't erase your whole drawing or anything. Now, I'm trying to think of other things I don't like with this app, but nothing is really coming to mind. It has so many good features and not a lot of bad ones. I guess the design of the app isn't that pretty. The shade of blue is kind of ugly, I guess, but I don't really think that's very important. It doesn't look as professional as Procreate. Honestly, that's all I've got. If you're not paying for premium, it has ads, which are kind of annoying, and I think they may have recently increased the ads. Still, I do really like this app, and once you see the amount of ads on this next app, you are not going to think anything about ibispaint's ads. But before we go, I gotta say, I'm giving ibispaint a 9.5 out of 10. I love it, love the brushes, I love everything about it, and that is my recommendation for everybody. And they have a YouTube channel with free tutorials that I personally have not used, but I've heard they're really good, so. Are you ready? Are you ready for the hottest drawing app of the year? Drawing app. Okay, so I opened up Drawing app and was immediately told to buy the premium version after finding the button that didn't require me to pay $30 a year, and yes, it's teeny tiny and almost invisible. I was able to see inside where they gave me an ad, and I noticed they had AI features. So, we're not off to a good start, but who knows, maybe it's a really good program. And then I got another ad. Finally, I was able to try creating a canvas, and try is a strong word here because, it asked me to rate the app. I hit custom size and it suggested 300 pixels by 600 pixels. What? I tried to make my usual canvas size, 3200 pixels by 3800 pixels, and it said that was too big and not allowed. So I did 1800 by 2400, and then it immediately changed to that. And then it asked if I wanted notifications. I am actually sort of curious what sort of notifications it gives me. How much you want to bet it just tells you to buy the premium version like 20 times a day. Like, alert, you aren't paying us yet. Okay, let's actually try to draw. Let's try to draw something simple first. Oh, another ad. Fantastic. There's also a little pop-up in case you forgot. You're supposed to buy the premium version. The undo button is in kind of a weird spot, but I guess that's not a huge deal breaker. But oh my God, that rotation and zoom is clunky to say the least. The menu is a struggle and a half. Like, no. Now let's see if they've got any good brushes. Let's go painting, maybe try old oil. Oh, you need to pay for it. Oh, there's another ad.
Get Simply Draw and start.
Okay, well, I'm going to try my hardest to paint something decent. There's a good sketch, and now I'm just noticing that there is no liquify, no transform, and then for the ruler tool, it does give you a tip for drawing lines on the canvas, factual or logical. I don't know what that means, but if you need a factual or logical line, this is 1000% the app you should use. Then the app crashed and deleted what I had drawn, and then it did that again. But on the positive side, it asked me to rate it again. There we go, and that's actually exactly what I'll be giving this app too. 1 out of 10, only because I can't give 0. This app has no double tap to undo. The colors don't work. This is supposed to be orange. By the way, that's not orange. That is pink. And the only free brush crashes the app. I think we can do better. And that brings us to the end of the video. My recommendation is ibispaint X. Yes, I am biased because I've been using it for so long, but I personally find it the most easy to use, visually pleasing, and simple to work with. And it's free with ads, or I think you can just buy the regular ibispaint for like $10 and you don't have to pay. But I don't know, I don't have it. If you like this video, you should subscribe so that I can have lots of subscribers. Bye.